Welcome back to the Cardboard Crash Course for an all-new spirit study, Eyes Watch from the Trees. This is a spirit from the Horizons of Spirit Island game, which was introduced alongside 4 other super low complexity spirits. These are all great, well-designed. They don't even have a complexity rating because they're perfect for beginners. This one specifically has a great lineup of starting abilities here, some beautiful power cards, and I just think Eyes Watch from the Trees is quite possibly one of the best well-designed spirits, especially for newcomers there. I would absolutely give this to a beginner, and actually this was suggested by Adam, one of my best friends who played Eyes Watch from the Trees, as his very first spirit for Spirit Island. It's super straightforward. I think he would back me up with that, and let's get right into it. So like I was talking about, the starting summary of powers here, a little bit of offense, a little more control, a little more fear, and a good amount of defense. Absolutely no utility, which means that he won't really be doing any fancy spirit-related synergies or anything like that. He's kind of all on his own, doing his own thing and doing it well. The setup for him is that you're going to start with your 4 unique power cards, like normal, 0 energy like normal, and you're going to put 2 presents on your starting board in the highest numbered jungle, as shown here. It says his playstyle is really good at defending against ravages and at steadily earning fear. So just little by little. Its ability to gather Dahan to fight back when defending can make a huge difference, changing a stalling tactic into a blow against the invaders. So, before we get into the front side of this board, go ahead and let me know down below how you like these spirit studies, what spirit you want to see next, and check out the podcast, which I'll put a thumbnail of one of our recent episodes here. It has to do with Spirit Island a lot of the time, and I'm really proud of that episode that I put right up there, and I'll also put it in the description down below. So without further ado, let's check out the rest of Eyes Watch from the Trees. Alright, here's their spirit board. I like to talk about special rules, then growth options, then presence tracks, and finally innate powers, power cards, and at the end I'll talk about some synergies with some of the power card deck and some strategy of what you're going to want to be doing here. So, they have a pretty unique special rule, and it's really simple, just a single special rule. Dahan trust the Watchers. After one of your powers adds defend into a single land, gather up to 1 Dahan into that land. Now remember, these tokens are your reminders for defense. This guy is going to be doing a very simple job at just placing this in a land and getting a Dahan there in order to do a Dahan counterattack. Counterattacks are absolutely his thing. Next up, we've got some pretty simple and nicely powered growth tracks. First of all, we have our reclaim option that allows us to gain a power card and an energy. So whenever we want our cards back, we're going to grab another power card from the deck and be able to play it easier. That's nice. A second option, which I love, which is adding a presence at range 2 and then adding a presence at range 0. So just like when you set up, you're going to be able to build a sacred site wherever you want it. That's important because its innate power needs you to have sacred sites, and its innate is definitely the thing that is going to cause you to build this engine in the first place. And finally, you have your third growth option, gaining a power card, adding a presence all the way at range 3, and then gaining an energy. Kind of a mix of the first two. That's one that's going to be just really consistent for you and able to build up your little amounts of defense through all of those minor powers. Next up is his presence tracks. So it starts at 1 energy and 1 card play, which is pretty standard, and ends at 4 energy and 4 card plays. This is kind of low in terms of final energy gain, but a lot of those defense cards throughout the deck are going to require very low amounts of energy, 0, 1, or 2 at the most. And if you really want to build up, you can get a couple of energy gain from the growth there. You also get 2 plants along the tracks, an air, and a moon. You won't have too much trouble placing all of the presents from one of these tracks, or even a lot from both, because of that second option. Whenever you have a option where you get to place 2 presents, the tracks get so much easier to get. All of these elements are going to go towards your innate power, as well as all of the elements on the cards. So finally, let's look at this innate power here. A couple of reminders along this board, because this is one that is for new players, which are really helpful. This is Mischief and Sabotage for its innate power. It's a fast speed, 1 range away from the sacred site, those sacred sites like we were talking about with that growth 2, and it has to target a land with invaders. So the first one, 2 plants and 1 moon, you're going to generate a fear and defend 2. The second one, adding 1 of both, you instead generate 1 fear and defend 4. The next one, when you add another plant and 2 air, you're instead going to generate 3 fear and defend 6. And the final one, 1 more of each, you're going to generate 5 fear and defend 12. This is, I think, the most straightforward innate power in the game, or at least one of them. Maybe Lightning Swift Strike has contention as well. The reason for that is because you don't actually do each level in progression, it's an instead, so you just activate the single level of whatever you have highest. It's really straightforward, really nice. Every single level of this triggers your special rule, so that whenever you trigger this, you're going to add Defend into that land, gathering 1 Dahan and setting it up for a counterattack. This also just grows really nicely with the game, so later in the game you're going to have a higher defense value, and you're going to be generating fear easier and easier. Great board on the front and back. The only thing that would make this better would be very consistent power cards, and those we do have, so let's check them out. First of all, we have Mysterious Abductions. It has a moon, a plant, and a fire. That fire is kind of a flex element, so those of you who are beginners, you're going to want to use this to hit thresholds of different power cards, but it doesn't really have any inherent effect with your spirit. It's super straightforward, 0 range from a presence, 1 fear, 1 damage. This is just one of those that's going to help you trigger your innate power. You're not going to feel too bad about forgetting, and it's just going to do a little bit of damage in order to take care of those explorers at fast speed. Next up, we have a Whispered Guidance Through the Night. A moon, an air, and a plant. Perfect for that innate power. It's a slow speed, 1 range away from a jungle presence. So that's a little bit restrictive and teaches new players about spatial awareness. And it gathers up to 3 Dahan, and if invaders and Dahan are then present, you generate a fear. Another fear generation, so it's really consistent, and this innate power is going to be helped a lot by gathering up to 3 Dahan and setting up for that counterattack. Next up, we have Eerie Noises and Moving Trees. A 2 energy slow power at range 1 from any presence. It gives you a moon, an air, and a plant, once again, beautiful. Generates 2 fear and pushes up to 2 explorers or towns. So the perfect way to use this is to get them out of the way after they've built the first time and set up for you to be able to defend in the lands where you have Dahan. And finally, my favorite card of his, Boon of Watchful Guarding. It's a 0 cost fast power that gives you an earth, a plant, and an animal. Very flex card. But in one of target spirit's lands, defend 4. Target spirit may pay 1 energy to instead defend 8. And keep in mind you can target any spirit with this, not just yourself. So this can trigger your special rule, or it can help somebody else defend a land they normally couldn't. Absolutely super flexible. I love all of his power cards. So let's talk about a couple major powers that he really likes if he ends up going that direction. Remember that I said that his whole strategy is about paying for really, really low cost minor powers? Well, not every time you want to do this. So let's check out these if you really want to go that fun, different route. We've got a 4 cost Death Falls Gently from Open Blossoms. This has a threshold here of the 3 air and 3 plant. It gives you 1 of each, so you're going to be able to trigger this really easily. It's a slow power that does 4 damage, adds a disease, generates 3 fear, and adds another disease to 2 different adjacent lands with invaders. This guy definitely has a really difficult time preventing exploring and building, especially at that really long range. So this is going to really take care of his weaknesses, and he's going to be able to hit that threshold, which I personally think is the only way to play this card. And second, we have Transform into a Murderous Darkness. This is just really fun, and this is going to be kind of the thing that teaches a new player about that flex element that I was talking about before. Because you have the Mysterious Abductions card in your opening hand that has that fire, you're going to be able to really easily hit this innate. This is just another one that does a lot of damage at one of their sacred sites for any spirit, and he's a spirit that is going to be able to set up sacred sites really easily. You're going to hit that threshold, generate a lot of fear, add a Badlands. It's going to be great. So this is the kind of spirit that's going to be able to easily take care of his own board and that people won't really have to worry about too much. You're going to be caught in this weird situation sometimes where you've been doing this, doing the 2 presents each turn, and all of a sudden you have no power cards. This reclaim option is nice because it gives you that energy, but you're definitely going to want to hit this threshold at least once a turn. So keep in mind that even if you get to this 2, 3, 4, you don't have to do that many card plays each turn. Hold back a little bit. Just do exactly what you need for this innate power. 2 turns of defending 2 is sometimes much better than 1 turn of defending 4. That's a very interesting way of thinking about it, and I think you definitely need to get that in your head if you want to master this spirit, but he's absolutely a perfect one for beginners to pick up. If you like Eyes Watch from the Trees or want to see any specific other spirit, leave that in the comments below. If you love these, check out the Patreon, as that's the way that we make money off of these and are able to keep bringing this content to you. Have a great rest of your day and go protect your island.